All right, y'all. Today we're taking a look at this boudoir photography business. Going to take a look at its local and city search here combined. See if it's got BSS. So we're back here in the GBC universe, where we're taking declining boudoir photographers, turn them into the #1 boudoir photographer in their city. As always, our North Star is FSIC, full spectrum intent capture. More on that, pin post, home post on the video, whatever. And that's because FSIC explains why all boudoir photographers either rise or fall. So if a boudoir photography business is rising, they're probably most likely bringing in piece from the entire intent spectrum, way over on the left, highest intent, way over on the right, lowest intent. If a boudoir photography business is falling, they're missing at least one or one cohort, or at least probably two cohorts as well from this intent spectrum. Now, way over on the left, we got BSS boudoir search sameness, which we'll be talking about in a little bit. But way on the left, that's what we're talking about here. These videos, talking about the highest intent people searching for boudoir photo shoots right now in our, right in our city, searching on social media, searching on Google. And wherever on the left, the lowest intent people, that's our sister brand, Boudoir FB Ad Doctor. We're talking about BLCS, kind of a unique niched problem. And we actually, with that brand, we currently only work with boudoir photographers running more than 10 grand per month in boudoir Facebook ads. So now onward. So BSS is boudoir search sameness. That's when a boudoir photographer has either 0 or 1 slots on page 1 of Google. So 0 slots on page 1 of Google, that means we're on page, page 2 or deeper. That's, gonna be a fast death for our business because we know approximately 80% of Google searches never even make it to page 2. They're page 1 only searches. And so if we're stuck on page 0, that's a fast track to death. And if we got 1 slot on page 1, that's not good enough either, because then we're looking the same as all the other boudoir photographers. Probably going to be none other boudoir photographers. So buyers just going to click and open up everybody's link, get a quote from everyone, price shop everyone. Whereas 80% of those buyers, the bulk that we care about, would never even go to page 2. So even on page 1, we're still getting super, super, super price shopped. Now 0 or 1 slots on page 1 in Google is not normal. It's an extremely small number. It's normal is actually the symptom of 2 deeper root causes. Those 2 deeper root causes are market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. So 0 or 1 slot on page 1 of Google, extremely, extremely, extremely common though. People are accepting of it being common because people do not know about the false belief of page 1 equality. Now, the market saturation, basically everyone knows about that. Someone's getting a new iPhone, they're throwing up on Google My Business profile on Google Maps. They got their website up, trying to rank page 1 for boudoir photographer. And so more supply. Same with someone's getting a new camera, and then they're talking, they're posting in the mom Facebook groups saying that, saying they offer boudoir shoots now as well. Again, another increase in supply. And COVID was a big, massive supply shock of boudoir photographers because a lot of people lost their jobs. People still need to earn money though. Everyone's got a phone with basically everyone's got a phone with a super powered camera. So offering boudoir photo shoots even for new peeps was, kind of an easy in. And as a result, super increased the supply of boudoir photographers. And if the same number of buyers remained, then then it's going to be harder and harder for sellers to make the same amount of money. Now, false belief of page 1 equality, this, from what I've seen, is the #1 killer of boudoir photography businesses. What this is boudoir photographers saying, all right, I got 1 slot on page 1 here on my website, and some other boudoir photographers came in, entered the marketplace, got their website ranked higher than mine. So, pushing me down to page 2, but that's simply how it is. Hopefully one of them deletes their websites and maybe Google will put me back on page 1. Because right now I'm invisible on page 2. Approximately 80% of searchers never even get to me. And, just kind of letting those things happen. That's a false belief. Google actually will give us as many slots on page 1 as we want, as we put in the effort to acquire. And Google wants to give us those slots. I know that because I went from 0 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google to 9 out of 10 slots on page 1 of Google with, well, in only 10 days with this new methodology I developed. Now, final piece here on the left side, a boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is a disappearing boudoir photographer, DBP. So left side of our universe, disappearing boudoir photographer. Well, that's because, if we got BSS, we're either 0 or 1 slot on page 1. So basically, we're either on page 2 of Google, which means we're definitely disappearing. Approximately 80% of searches never even get to page 2. And if we're on page 1, then and we only got 1 slot, we're looking the same as everyone else. We're being price shopped to death, and we're actually, disappearing as well. And so, a disappearing boudoir photographer did having BSS. This is the canary in the coal mine, kind of warning flag, the warning light, check engine light going on, saying, "Hey, we are on a path now to actually lose for the boudoir photography business itself to disappear." But luckily, we now have a solution. So that solution, we know that BSS is treated with social search saturation, aka S-cubed methodology. And when we treat, so we invented this, so that's how I know it works. It's exactly what the name is, social search saturation. We're saturating social search. And for the highest intent keywords. And basically, it's kind of like the backside of the Andes Mountains. When we saturate social search, where there's like the small streams, the small rivers on the backside of the Andes Mountains in South America, they actually flow into the Amazon River. And with the Amazon River, what actually happens is they all converge to the Amazon River. That's like conversion on page 1 of Google. Now, this is the only solution I've seen for boudoir photographers that actually allows them to overcome market saturation extremely quickly. The only one other option would be, actually having a well-known brand. That takes, 5 to 10 years. We ain't got 5 to 10 years. AI's here, coming to take people's jobs, and we got to max rank as fast as possible, as there's a whole bunch of boudoir photographers going to be entering the market. So SQ methodology, yeah, it is the only thing I've seen for boudoir photographers that successfully enables them to fight back and overcome market saturation. I mean, imagine if there's a million boudoir photographers in San Francisco, and we're one of them. Everyone's got a website competing to be page 1 on Google. And what actually happens is we max out our SQ methodology, literally basically do it as max as possible. And as a result, we're getting like the first 300 slots on social search, first 300 slots on Google search. And when we do that, whenever any buyer searches for Google or, on Google or social search, high intent keywords for boudoir photo shoot in their city, we're basically the only one they find for the first 300 slots. And, we essentially pushed all the competition down to slots 301 or later. So on Google, it's 10 organic slots per page, and 10 organic slots per page is, that's 30 pages we're taking up. Buyers essentially got to go to page 31 to even find out that we are, to find out our competitors. So obviously, whose business is growing in this scenario? Ours, because we saturated basically kind of everywhere they can look. So again, this SQ methodology is the only solution I've seen that allows boudoir photographers to successfully escape markets or successfully grow in spite of market saturation, kind of no matter how many boudoir photographers are out there. That happens relatively quickly. Brand, dude, takes like 5 to 10 years. So we ain't got no time to build brand right now. Now, once you're with SQ methodology, we have page 1 visibility. And kind of an initial bonus benefit we get from this is every new slot we take on page 1 of Google, we're actually kicking a competing boudoir photographer off page 1, effectively making them invisible. So when we do that, when we make them invisible, we know that literally 80% of boudoir photographers or searchers do literally never go to page 2. So if we kick them onto page 2, off page 1, on page 2, deeper, they're effectively invisible to approximately 80% of the market. So that's an extra immediate benefit. Now, page 1 visibility activates Boudoir search visibility for us. So when we get that, we have the GBC recommended minimum of getting 3 out of 10 slots on Google search page 1. Because the 3 out of 10 slots, a lot of boudoir photographers, most of them will be at 1 out of 10. So when the buyer's scrolling down Google and they're seeing us with a massive number of boudoir photo shoots, or basically kind of with our option, then what actually happens is we're going to be seen as like super awesome solution. People are going to be wondering, why Google is recommending us 3 different times and everyone else only once. So that's why we want to hit the GBC recommended minimum is 3. And as we actually increase, some boudoir photographers rarely will actually have two slots on page 1. So we actually want to hit those. And, when we hit those, we want to, or when they hit those, our 3 out of 10 slots will actually still overpower them. So it's essentially taking care of all scenarios. And a boudoir photographer with BSV is a visible boudoir photographer, VBP. So it's our micro universe here. Got a disappearing boudoir photographer with boudoir search sameness is caused by market saturation and the false belief of page 1 equality. We finally have a solution, thankfully. S-cubed methodology. We achieve page 1 visibility. We become a visible boudoir photographer with boudoir search visibility. This is our micro universe here. Now here are my results from using S-cubed methodology when I wanted to rank for the keyword BLCS boudoir. So basically I wanted to rank for this keyword. So I already know, use S-cubed methodology. So we got me, organic slot Instagram here. Organic slot page 1. Organic slot page 2. Organic slot page 3. Slot 4. Well, I mean, not page 1, page 2. Slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4. Then we got slot 5, slot 6, slot 7, slot 8, and slot 10. So we literally got slot 10, or we got 9 out of 10 slots, and we achieved this with only 10 days utilizing our S-cubed methodology. So these are my results I've gotten for it. Now, onto the main event. We're going to see for this boudoir photography business, for its local and city search combined here, seeing if it actually reaches, see if it's got BSS, see if it's in the GBC recommended minimum, 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search. Let's check it out. So we're going to Tuscaloosa, Alabama. All right, Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Let's go to the organics. Boom, got organic one. Well, Google's stuck thinking there. Oh, data's off. Boom, we got 2. Boom, we got 3. Yeah, we'll count that one, Chamber of Commerce. Boom, we got 3. All right, so we got 3 out of 10. Nice. Very good. So for our local and city search combined here, we got we do not have BSS and we hit the GBC recommend minimum of 3 out of 10 slots, page 1 Google search. So all is looking perfect. So if you are a disappearing boudoir photographer, you went and did the local search for yourself and the city, or local search for the highest intent buyer keywords and the city search for the highest intent buyer keywords, and you had BSS for one or both, or you did not meet the GBC recommended minimum of 3 out of 10 slots on page 1 for either one or both of those searches. And you now realize page 1 equality was kind of automatically accepted before, but now you realize it's a false belief. Now you realize, wow, we truly can take as many page 1 slots on Google as we want to put in the effort to acquire. And you understand market saturation with how, basically people get new iPhones, throw up their Google My Business profile and their website saying they shoot boudoir. So get new gear, increase the number of boudoir photographers over time. It's always increasing, and you're actually thinking ahead. You're seeing AI. You accept it's okay. It's probably going to start steal more people's jobs. So what we're actually going to need to do is it's going to force a bunch of boudoir photographers to come into the marketplace that were not boudoir photographers before, but they have, everyone's got a camera on their phone. And so you want to fortify your position ahead of AI taking everyone's jobs. And like, I don't know, could that double the amount of boudoir photographers in the market? No idea. But you want to fortify your position before then. You kind of want to get more slots on page one before that happens to kick out current competitors, and get even more slots on page one to fortify your position against the coming influx of new boudoir photographers that will inevitably be coming into the marketplace. So more sellers for the same number of buyers as AI takes more and more people's jobs. And so you want to fortify you want to kick out the current competitors, fortify your position against future competitors. And you also want the your CNS cubed methodology is the only solution that you can see that allows you to do that as a boudoir photographer. And you actually want kind of the extra back-end benefits from this as well, which is every day we execute S-cubed methodology successfully. We're actually building like these thematic keyword columns that are plugged, kind of like spokes, that are plugged into our main brand across our social channels, across the internet, our website, our brand name, our social handle name. And as we do more and more of that every day, it actually increases the probability we get recommended an AI overview, this premium spot placement up at the top above everything. And many times, it's literally only recommending one studio at a time, based off of thematic keyword relevance, authority, things like that, and frequency. And also every day we execute S-cubed methodology correctly. So it's building up that momentum in the background for AI overview and also standard AI search and all the different AI search platforms. ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, Microsoft Copilot, Google Gemini. Every day we successfully execute S-cubed methodology, build up those thematic keyword columns attached to our brand, kind of like spokes on a wheel. We're increasing the probability AI recommends us in search into the future. Kind of increasing that probability every single day we successfully execute. And you also see that kind of the earlier you jump on this, the more distance you put, kind of the more momentum is built, kind of more fortification, kind of fortifying the levees like New Orleans against the ocean because it's below sea level, and building momentum for back-end AI search, AI overview recommendations forever into the future. Well, for every day that S-cubed methodology is successfully executed against all current and future competitors who are not running S-cubed methodology. Because my current plan is to only run it with one boudoir photographer per city. And so if I were to work with a competitor and that happened, instead you would have to rederive and refigure out and retest S-cubed methodology to figure it out for yourself. And you would never really know if you actually derived it correctly. But even so, you'd have to then go execute it on your own, which you would have less confidence in, because again, you would not have known if you've actually derived it correctly. And you'd have to equal our output of me working with your competitor to maintain our gap where we're already ahead. You'd have to actually double or triple our output to actually close the gap and overtake us, kind of suck away that thematic keyword kind of momentum, back into momentum for AI search engines to steal it away from us. So you realize, screw that. It's better to simply be, the first mover on this, kind of kick out current competitors from page one, actually increase, fortify your position against future competitors as AI takes people's jobs, force them to become boudoir photographers. And so you're saying S-cubed methodology is the best path for you because you want, page one visibility, become a visible boudoir photographer, achieve boudoir search visibility, because you need that on your way to become number one boudoir photographer in your city. So if that's you, shoot me a DM when I open up for new patient intake. My DMs are closed right now. Slots are currently closed. And when I do open it up, shoot me a DM and we will see if you qualify for using S-cubed methodology.